Alrighty, welcome to this video. In this tutorial, we're going to talk about how to animate sprites. And I'm not talking about the drinks. I'm talking about these things. So if a sprite sheet is kind of what you're seeing here, it'll take a character. Let's grab, I don't know. Any of these will work really. But a sprite sheet takes a character and it shows basically all the moves that they make, when if you put them in succession it would look like motion. And since animate's an animation program, you can take these different parts, like Mega Man. We'll be doing Mega Man here in a minute. But you can see that it has him jumping, it has him shooting, it has him moving. You know, this is his walk sprite sheet. So he starts there, he goes out a little bit, goes further out. So it's just frame by frame the animation you need to be able to make it look like he's moving. So I'm going to show you how to take these sprite sheets, put them into animate, and then actually use them. So the one we're going to use, let's see if I have it here, is right, I think this one. Yeah. So we have the old school Mega Man, and we're just going to use the one of him running. We'll use the one of him jumping as well. So what you do is the first thing, well, there's many ways to do this, but the first thing I'm going to do is open it up in Photoshop. So I'm going to take this sprite sheet and I'm going to throw it into Photoshop. Because what I'm going to do is put all the different movements that he can do on different layers, and then I'll be able to throw it into animate and use those layers as I need. Okay, I'm going to unlock this layer, so I just double click, hit OK, get rid of that. I don't want all this white background stuff, so I'm going to use the magic wand, click, selects everything outside of all of them, hit delete, it all goes away. Control D, deselects. Now you can see there's still a few parts here that I'm going to need to get, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit, space bar. Okay, delete that, Control D to deselect, or probably Command D. Does the same thing on a Mac. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Control minus to do it. Okay, now I'm not going to use any of these down here. If I wanted to make him shoot or something like that, I could use that one, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to crop this out. Oops. Maybe. Jeez, that was weird. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that. So these are the ones I'm going to be using here. So I'll just crop out all the stuff that I don't need. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select each one of these and put them on their own layer. So when I throw them into animate, I can use them however I see fit. So I'm going to select this, Control C, Control V, and you can see that it automatically puts it on its own layer. So there it is. I'm going to select that layer again, do the same thing here. So Control C, Control V, or Command C, Command V, select that layer again, select this guy. And it doesn't really matter if you get it exact, but because we can reposition it and animate. Control C, Control V. All right, so I got the 4 movements here on their own layers. So I really don't need this anymore. So I can just delete that layer. There we go. All right, so now I will create a folder here. And I'll just call it MM for Mega Man. And I'll just save everything in there. So file save as, we'll save as a PSD. And we'll go into the MM folder. megaman.psd, that works. Okay, I'm going to hop over back to animate, and this one I'm going to do on an HTML5 because I want it to be compatible on any device. So file save as, we'll hop over to the MM folder. I'll call it Megaman. Okay. So now that I have this on each one of I have these all on their own layers, I'm going to import it into animate. So I'm going to go import to library because I'm not going to use it yet. I just want it stored inside the library here. Okay, so I'm going to head over to MM, and then there we go. So yep, I want to import all of those layers, and I want to import them as animate layers. Okay, so there they are. Okay, the next thing I want to do, I think I have this on my desktop, is I want to, well, maybe I don't. That's okay. I'm going to hop over here, and I need a background for Mega Man to be cruising around in. So I'm going to go Megan Man, Mega Man background. Let's see what I can find here. Giving me a bunch of desktop backgrounds. I could use that one. This is the one I've used before, so I'll grab that one. So right click that, save image as, and we'll save it in the Mega Man folder, and I'll rename this BG for background. Okay, so I'm good there. Make sure it got in there. It did, so we're good. All right, so now I want to go import to library again, and I'm going to grab the background. So there's the background. I'm going to click and drag it over. I'm going to zoom out. Okay, and I can save that. Now I want to, right now it's way bigger than the stage. So I can make the stage bigger, or I can just shrink this down. I'm probably just going to shrink it down. So I'll zoom in, I'll hit Q. Now the problem is this little anchor point thing here, if I try to resize, it's going to resize dependent on this anchor point. It's kind of annoying. That usually isn't how it works in other programs. So I'm going to click and drag this over to the lower left-hand corner, bring that over to the left of the stage, and now it'll kind of resize from the lower left-hand corner, and that's kind of what I want. So I can get it to fit the stage. It kind of snapped into place there. So now that covers the whole stage, which is good. I'm happy. Then I'm going to call this the BG layer for background, and I'm going to lock it just so I can't click and drag it and accidentally move it. Create another layer, and I'll call it Mega Man, MM for Mega Man. Save it, Control S. I would highly recommend you always hit Control S, Control S, Command S, Command S. Do that all the time. Just get into the habit, because the last thing you want to do is work on something for an hour and then accidentally delete it, and then you hate life, right? Okay, so now I want to animate it so Mega Man can come in here, jump around, do things, and I'm going to do that here. Now, one of the animations he's going to do a lot is this run cycle, right? He's going to run. So I'm going to create what's called a movie clip, and then what you can do is embed animation inside the movie clip. So inside he'll be running, but then I can move the movie clip around and he'll always be running. If you're going, what the heck does that mean? You'll see in a minute. But basically I'm going to create a movie clip that has its own timeline, and the timeline will be him just running. And so that'll be embedded inside of that movie clip, and then I can move the movie clip across the stage, and he'll be doing two animations at once. The first animation will be the embedded animation, the one inside of him running, and then the other animation will just be him going across the stage. So the two animations working together, it's going to look like he's running. Again, if you're like, what the heck, you'll see in a minute. So I'm going to click here, I'm going to hit Insert, New Symbol, and I'm going to make it a movie clip, and I'll say MM Run, because this is going to be him running. All right, so there it is. Now you can see when I did that, it brought me inside of the movie clip. I'm no longer on scene 1. Scene 1 is where the main action is taking place, the main stage. But if I double click it brings me into the runs movie clips timeline. You can see it's a completely different one. So in here is where we're going to animate him running, and then here is where we're going to put him across the stage. Alrighty. So I'm going to double click. So now in here is where I want to animate him running. And this is a good thing to know, how to animate these. Sorry, I had my phone go off there. Anyways, it's just good. This is how you want to animate him running. So we got these 3. That's what I want to use. I don't really want to use this one because that's him jumping. So I'm going to click and drag it out. And just to help me line it up, I'm going to go over here to properties, and I got the X and Y address, or I guess location, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to put them all over on top of each other, so I'm going to put them all at 0, 0. And it really doesn't matter where you put them. It's just this, I make sure that they're exactly on the same spot. Is really all that's going on there. So I'll go back to the library. Okay, so that's going to be, so that'll be the first one. We'll call this run. Okay, and then I want him, the next thing he's going to do, I'm going to create a new keyframe by hitting F6. I'm going to delete it. So this is his first motion, and then I want to put his second motion in the next keyframe, which is that one, right? So click and drag, go to properties, we'll put it at 0, 0, just so it puts it pretty close to where the other one is. We'll probably have to do a little bit of tweaking, but that's okay. And then we're going to do the same thing, F6. Okay, and then that's the third motion. Bring it out, properties, 0, 0. Now, as you can see, we're getting there. Now, to complete the run cycle, though, he has his arm spread there. It goes to the middle, arm spread. But if we don't put another one, it's going to go straight to arm spread again, which looks a little weird. So we need to put the middle one in there again. So F6, I delete that, come back into the library. We need him to go back to the middle again. So bring that in, 0, 0. So now he spreads the arm, goes to the middle, spreads the arms the other way, goes back to the middle. So it looks a lot more. And then so when he's back in the middle, he goes back to the other one. So this is going to look basically as natural as you can with an 8-bit sprite, right? Okay, so, but here's the problem. Look at his head. Now, I went and looked at some videos on YouTube of Mega Man running. His head really doesn't move. The only thing that's moving is his body. So his head doesn't bob, like you can see it bobbing right there. It doesn't really do that in the game. So we gotta have to line up his head to all these on this stage here. So you can see that his head moves back a little bit. So I'm going to grab that one, and I'm just going to use the arrow keys on my keyboard to move it over to the right a little bit. Okay, and it still goes back a little bit. So I'm going to move it over a little bit more. Okay, it still goes back a few pixels. So move it over a little bit more. Okay, now you can see that his head basically doesn't move at all. It's just his arms, which is exactly what we want. Alright, so now we go from here to here. Now we can see his head moves forward a little bit, which we don't want. So move it back a little bit here. Alright, cool. Head doesn't move at all. So now we can start seeing that we're getting this good little running thing going on. And then the last one, his head moves back, which we don't want. So I'm going to move it forward a little bit. As you can see, I'm just clicking and dragging up here. I'm just dragging the playhead. So the head moves back some more. So we need to move it forward a little bit more. A little bit more. Wow. It's like 2 pixels off there. Uh-oh, I think I went too far. So back 1. Okay. Now you can see that his head's not moving. No matter which one I'm on, it's not moving. Okay. Now if I hit enter, you can't really see it on the screen, but his run cycle, or whatever you want to call it, is way too fast. He looks like he's moving 1,000,000 miles a second. So we don't want that. So we got to start adding some frames in here. So I'm going to click up here, F5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just add 4 in between all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Over there, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now again, this is going to look choppy on your screen because you're watching this video, I think, at like 10 frames per second. But on my side, I'll be able to actually see if this looks good or not. I think that looks okay. Kind of goes run, 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 run. That's about what I want. And I can always come back and tweak this if I want. So I'm going to come back out to scene 1. And if I come back to my library, I can see now that I have Mega Man Run, and you can see it has this little play button. I can hit play, and this will show me the animation that it has. So I can get kind of a preview of this embedded animation that I put inside this movie clip. And that looks exactly how I want it to look. All right, so I'm going to have him run from off stage on the stage. I'm going to have him jump here. I'm going to have him jump. He's going to jump really high. We're going to get a little crazy here, and he'll land, and then he'll just run off. So nothing crazy, but it'll show you everything you need to do to get this animated and running the way you want. So I'm going to click here on the Mega Man layer, and I'm going to click and drag him out. Now he's way too big right now. So I'm going to hold down Shift so it keeps all the proportions the way it should. I'm not going to be skewing him like this. Right? We don't want that. Control Z. That looks good. It's a good size. So I'll put him right here. Now I'm going to use classic tweens. I'm sure there, you can do it other ways too. You could use a normal motion tween as well, but with this, because I'm going to be changing him to this, I just like, to me, the classic tween just gives me more control of what I'm trying to do. So I'll hit F6 out here. I'm going to come down here on the background layer, and I'm just going to hit F6 so it just extends it way out here because I'm going to be using it the whole time. And like you saw, you have to have the background layer extended as well to cover all the animation that's going on. Also, if I drug Mega Man behind, you can see, well, I'll show you that in a minute actually. I can't really show you here. Well, yeah, I can. I'll do this. So right now Mega Man's on top, so he's on top of this layer, but if I drag him underneath background, he's gone. So you got to make sure that background is lower than all the different layers so everything goes on top of it. Okay, so I got him, move him over here. By the end of the motion, he's going to be right there, getting ready to jump. So right click, create the classic tween. So he just comes in. Now you can see that he's a little high up. That's because he starts up a little too high down here. So I'm going to use the arrow keys to move him down. So he comes straight out. Now look, when I hit enter, you can see that he's not moving. He's not running. So that freaks a lot of people out. They go, well, what's going on? Why isn't he running? You can only see the run. You can only see the embedded animation here when you export it, when you hit Control Enter. Enter won't show you it. I don't know why, but that's just how animate's made. So no, he isn't moving right now. You're not seeing the embedded animation right now, but that's just because it's embedded and you can't see it until you actually export it. All right, so I hit enter. He's I think he's moving a little too fast there. Actually, I'm going to get rid of all these frames here. I'm going to click this. I just clicked and dragged, right clicked, and I'm going to remove frames. just because I don't want it to play all the way out yet. Control Shift F5 to get rid of that other one. So he comes out. I think that's a little too fast. So I'll click here up in the timeline, up where the numbers are, and I'm going to hit F5 to add some more frames. That's going to make it last a little bit longer. Okay, that's probably a little too slow now. So I can get rid of them. Shift F5. So that looks okay to me. Maybe. Nah, Mega Man moves a little bit faster. I swear I don't have OCD. I'm not OCD, right? Okay, that looks good enough. All right, so when he hits there, I'm going to hit F6 here to add a keyframe. And I'll extend the background out here. I really don't, there's no animation that brings him into the jump. He just hits it. He just jumps. So he's going to go straight from this to this. So I'm going to get rid of that, hit delete. I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click and drag the jump out. That's obviously way too big, so I'm going to shrink it down. And he's going to start jumping from about there, right? So he just goes whee and goes right into his jump. And let's see that. Yeah, I think that size looks about good. So he runs out, and then boom, he jumps. So I'm going to have to keyframe him to go up here, and then keyframe him to go down there. So he'll jump up. We'll hit F6 here. He'll hit about, give him some pretty good hops. He'll get about that high. Okay, and then he'll land down here. And then he'll land right on the block. So he comes in, he jumps, he goes up there, and then he lands right there. So to add the animation, we're right-clicking, create classic tween, right-click, create classic tween. So now he jumps, and then he goes down. That looks like a pretty normal Mega Man jump. Okay. Extend the background out again. Now I'm just going to hit F6 here, and I'm going to delete that. You always want to pay attention to what keyframe you're on. That's really, really important. So he lands, and then boom, he's going to go straight back into the run again. Now, if I click and drag him out, he's going to be big again. So really the best way to do this is just grab what I've already done, Control C, copy it, and then paste it there. So it's the exact same size. That's really the main reason you would want to do that. Is if I copy this, I get the exact same sized movie clip, where if I click and drag this out again, I'll have to resize it, and there's a chance that it may not be the same size. All right, so I'm clicking on him. It highlights what frame he's on. I'm going to come right there, just put it there, and let's see if that looks okay. Yep, that looks good. He lands and then starts running. So he lands and boom. Actually, I might want him over a little bit. Lands and then he's on running. Now remember, this has the this has the animation embedded in it, so he's going to keep going. So I'll bring it out, F6. I want him to just move over here. And then when he hits there, I'm going to hit F6 again, delete that, and now I'm going to do the same thing when he jumped. I'm going to copy that, Control C, come back over here to this keyframe, Control V, and he jumps right off there. Put that up a little bit. So he lands. We're going to add the classic tween. So he lands, he starts running, and then he jumps again. Yep, that looks pretty good, like he jumps, right? Okay, so now he's going to go flying off into the nether. Oops. F5 in here to add some frames. So this time I want him to start here, and he's going to go flying up really high. So I'm going to zoom out, Control minus, and I'm going to click and drag him up here. He's just going to do a crazy jump and just go flying. Right click, create the classic tween. So he hits, and then he just goes flying off. Now I want him to stay up there for a while, for maybe a second or so. So I'm going to hit F6 here, so I have the two keyframes that are exactly the same, and then I click on the one on the left, and I start hitting F5, and this is going to add frames in between. So he won't be moving for a few seconds. Well, maybe half a second. All right, so I'm going to add some more. All right, and then I want him to just shoot down really fast. So I'm going to right click, create the classic tween, and then he's going to land right here. Zoom in, I do the space bar, I got the hand tool moving things around. So he jumps up, he stays up there for a while, and then he comes flying down. I'm going to move that over a little bit. He has to land his jump, right? So right when he lands, F6, stand out the background. So when he lands, get rid of that, and then we want to copy that, come over here, paste it, and then he starts running. Okay, probably move him over a little bit. Now I'm going to have him kind of rev up a little bit and then go shooting off. F5, so I kind of do the same thing. So I got the two keyframes that are exactly the same, and I want him to sit there for a second and then go shooting off. So I'm going to add the frames in between those two exact same keyframes. So he's going to sit there and then shoot off. All right, and then to shoot him off here, F6, extend the background. We just create this classic tween and we shoot him off really quick. And if you hear crazy children, I apologize. Not a lot I can do about that. They live here. There's not much I can do about that. All right, so I hit enter, he jumped off, comes down, and then boom, gone. And I want it to be a little bit quicker, so I'm going to remove some frames, Shift F5. I mean, I want it to just like zoom, he's gone. And same with the jump, actually. I want him, when he jumps off, I want it to be a pretty quick jump. That was probably a little too quick. So F5, jumps off, comes down, gone. And to be honest, I want him to rev up a little bit more. Okay, so he jumps up, comes down, gone. Now, when he goes off, I could maybe add like a little puff of smoke here when he runs off. I mean, there's a bunch of different things I could do, but this is all we really want to do. I mean, the purpose of this video is showing you how to take a sprite, how to animate it like we've done here, and then how to kind of animate him, move him around, and then also the embedded motion is what's really important here, is that you realize you can double click into these movie clips and animate them on their own independent timeline and then come back out and then do what you want to do there. So it's just really important that you know how to do that kind of stuff. So like I said, you come back here, it looks weird because he's not animating, right? He just kind of goes skating across. It looks like he's ice skating or something. Well, that's because we haven't exported it. So here we have our stuff. I'm about to export it, so it's going to give me some. Now, because this is canvas, because this is an HTML5 file, it's going to give us an HTML file and stuff. So you'll see. So I'm going to hit Control Enter here. Okay. Now again, it's probably going to be pretty choppy on your side, but this is what he looks like. So you can see that he is running. His hands are moving right there. He's doing it. Now I can look at things and I can kind of go, well, I think he's actually running a little too slow. I think his arms are moving a little too slow. So I can close out of that, come back in here, double click this. These are just some warnings that I don't need to worry about here. But timeline, now I can come in here and get rid of some frames. Shift F5. Save that, and now I can re-export it and get an idea of maybe if it looks a little bit better. Yeah, that actually looks a little bit better. Okay, and I kind of think that he's moving a little too quick across the stage. So again, it's just things you come in here. I'm going to go back to scene 1. It's just things that you can start tweaking. Get rid of some frames there. Oh, no, wait. He's going too fast. That actually looked pretty slow, so I'm going to remove some of those. Okay. So like I said, you can start tweaking stuff as needed. Test them. Yeah, that kind of looks a little bit better. All right. So anyways, and then you could start putting in sound effects if you wanted to. Now, as you can see, every time you export it, it's going to open it in a browser. And this is what it creates. It creates this HTML file. It creates this JavaScript file that helps with the animations. And then this images file, or this PNG here, that has to have that because that's how it controls the animation. So if you were to upload this to a server, you'd upload this, and you'd upload this. You have to have all three if you would want this to work. If we look at the code, see right there. Okay, so it's grabbing this JavaScript file from this code.create.js website. Okay, and then it's pulling in the megaman.js right there. All right, and then it's starting out some JavaScript that creates the canvas on the page and so forth. And then there's the canvas tag where all the information takes place. So anyways, that's kind of what the code looks like. We're not going to really go into it because it just kind of shows what it does there. But anyways, then you can host this somewhere. If you access it on an iPad or iPhone or Android or tablet or whatever, it'll work. It'll work on any of those devices because this is using HTML5. If I right click, it's not giving me any Flash stuff. This is all pure HTML and JavaScript, which is very cool. All right, so that's it for this video. Hope to help, guys. Of course, like usual, if you have any questions, we'll talk to you later. Well, if you have any questions, I won't talk to you later. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them, but I'll talk to you later. See you later, guys.